Hey guys, Rochelle here with the Amethyst Ascension. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you so much for joining me again. Yes, I'm at the same thing. It's just like habit, you know? I'm so used to saying it, that's just how it goes. I'll try to type something up and come up with something better. But anyways, hello beauties. So today's video is all about tarot and oracle card reading for dummies. This is a book that was sent to me by a Wiley brand. It was Charles Harrington who reached out to me like a few months ago. Admittedly, a few months ago. I am terrible with book reviews, okay? Because I get interrupted so much. And then I forget what I read. And so I have to go back and repeat it. And it's just a horrible thing. So don't send me or don't ask me for book reviews because I suck at them, okay? But here it is. I'm going to go through the book and show you all of the stuff that's in this book because there's just tons of information in here. And I thought it was excellent, but let's get into the nitty-gritty of this book. So I'm just going to go right through just so you have a good idea. So we've got an introduction. And I want to read that to you and about this book, just so you understand the idea of everything, okay? It says, when considering the future and wondering what decisions they should make, people have tried quite a few things, gazing at the stars, tracing the lines of their palms, and peering closely at sheep's livers. Yikes. However, one of the most beautiful and versatile methods for asking questions is the reading of cards. I could not agree more. I am a card slinger, okay? Not too long ago, the only places that you'd see tarot cards were horror movies, where they'd predict the hero's imminent demise, or late-night TV commercials, where they promise to reveal the identity of your one true love. Oh my gosh, so true, isn't it? And you never saw oracle cards at all. But today, the art of reading the cards is widely embraced by people around the world who appreciate their universal wisdom and amazing artwork. Card reading doesn't necessarily require you to believe in fate, destiny, or even the ability to make predictions about the future at all. A growing number of readers appreciate the cards' function as a psychological tool to assist in creative thinking. But for those who do want to explore their mystical side, the cards can be an ideal partner for sharpening your intuition and communing with the divine. I've read tarot and oracle cards for nearly 30 years. They've opened my eyes to worlds of possibilities and made me very popular at parties. I'm excited to share the techniques that I've learned with new readers of all ages and backgrounds. So let's see. Yeah, let's do the about this book. So tarot and oracle card reading for dummies introduces you to the art of, reading tarot and oracle cards. It gives you a lot of simple, fun exercises to try with your decks. I include many skills that experienced readers employ to go beyond the basic information and techniques used behind the scenes when designing new decks. Above all, my aim is to make this esoteric, obscure art accessible to anyone interested in beginning their journey as a reader. You can read the chapters in any order and jump around the text as you read to make your life easier as you master the art of card reading. I've divided the book into 5 parts. So the 5 parts are getting started with tarot and oracle reading. This part gives you the lay of the land with some fascinating history, but not too much. An overview of the tarot structure and traditions and some considerations for new readers. Part 2 is mastering card reading basics. Discover how to prepare for a reading, technique for taking the cards further, and the ins and outs of spreads. So 3 is exploring what tarot cards mean. This part is your resource for traditional card meanings and techniques to discover your own associations for the cards. Part 4, embracing oracle cards. In this part, you explore the rapidly evolving world of oracle cards and find ways to take your readings further. And then part 5, The part of tens. I finish with insights I've gleaned from 3 decades as a reader. See, that's impressive. 3 decades. So, the card illustrations in this book come from high-quality scans of the very first printing of the Rider-Waite Tarot, today usually referred to as the Rider-Waite-Smith or RWS, specifically a PAM A, the first of 4 printings of the original edition. This deck, originally published in 1909, has become something of a sacred text for readers and is the basis for most decks on the market today. But you have thousands of decks to choose from for your practice. So note, a tarot card can describe a person. Oh, we don't need to read that. So foolish assumptions. It says, I have written this book with a few assumptions in mind that you're interested in reading tarot and oracle cards for yourself and possibly others. Well, that would be a good assumption. You're looking for a guide that's accessible, straightforward, and interactive, and that doesn't require you to already be familiar with any esoteric symbolism or concepts. You own a deck or several, or on the verge of acquiring one. You do need your own deck to try out all of the exercises in the book. You may or may not have done some readings already. Regardless, I start with the beginning and run through all of the basics, taking you step by step through the process of performing readings. And you're looking forward to having fun. Card reading is a safe and exciting experience available to everyone. So, he talks about icons that he uses, like tip, remember, and it's in the cards. Beyond the book, in addition to the abundance of information and guidance related to tarot and oracle card readings that I provide in this book, you can find even more help and info online. Check out this book's online cheat sheet. Just go to www.dummies.com and search for Tarot and Oracle Card Reading for Dummies cheat sheet. Oh, that's cool. So where to go from here? It just has more stuff to tell you. Getting started with tarot and oracle readings. So introducing tarot and oracle card reading. So in this chapter, he describes terminology, understanding the special value of card reading, considering diverse perspectives on divination, and finding the right decks to work with you. I want to go to considering diverse perspectives on. Oh, yes, and I had this. The cards have sets of traditional meanings, but the real magic happens when your sense of intuition comes into play, and those meanings take on a new life as you see your own world reflected back to you. You'll discover new personal meanings in the cards that the author and artist never imagined. Absolutely. I thought that was a really good paragraph, and I wanted to talk about that. So, telling stories, suggestions, so serving diverse definitions of divination. So I want to touch on this too. So many definitions of divination insist on using the phrase supernatural means, but I define divination as asking the universe a question and receiving an intelligible response. So, this broader idea of divination fits better with the varied types of readings that you can perform with the cards. In Chapter 4, you explore your personal worldview and how your ideas about the existence or non-existence of divine beings will shape your practice. Here, I look at the range of ways you can seek answers with your cards, so predicting outcomes. This is the fortune-telling side of the cards. In this mode, they answer the question, what happens next? Exploring your psyche. So in this practice, the cards form a map of your life and your inner self for you to contemplate. They mirror the struggles and challenges that you face and point to opportunities for healing and growth. So kickstarting creativity. So here the cards serve you as a symbol-rich brainstorming tool that helps you open yourself to new pathways or possibility. If you ever find yourself creatively blocked, the cards will help you by asking. And there's more that I'm just trying to touch on all of the stuff that's in here, and I'm just getting started. So I hope you have something to drink if you really want to know whether or not this book is worth getting, okay? Whether it's going to fit into what you're looking for. Pondering the mysteries. So philosophers, spiritual teachers, and mystics find a trove of inner wisdom in the images of the cards. Using this method, sometimes called wisdom reading, diviners wrestle with topics that have eternally confounded humanity. Weighty issues can consider what the cards include. Cards include the following, like what is the soul, how do I find union with the divine, and more, right? So he talks about how to choose your decks, considering the classics, how you respond to art, different themes, diversity, all those things that are important to you, like the different scenes, pop culture tie-ins, observing oracle decks. Talks about that, and there's a whole chapter for tarot deck spreads and also oracle deck spreads. So growing your collection. So he talks about that. Tapping into just enough tarot history. This is a really good chapter. I love this bit. And I'm not going to read it to you, but it really is very interesting to look at the different ways that people believe where tarot originated from. Like a secret Kabbalistic text, an ancient Egyptian guide to initiation rescued by the Romani, a record of lost Atlantis, the poker deck's ancestor, understanding the value of a good story, exploring tarot roots. So, okay, this talks about the history, of course. Like card games proved to be popular pastime. And that popularity spread as international trade boomed following the Crusades, and travelers brought their favorite games along their routes. And it goes into all that. Which, if you are into the history and all that, I would look at this too. It's not like a huge tome on it. It just briefly goes over it. Bringing on the trumps. In the early days, trick-taking games were trendy for card players. So this is how it came into like the 1400s and like, what is it? Tarocchini? What is it called? Tarocchi, fancy Tarocchi. Yeah, it goes into all that. And then heading to France, discovering tarot's secret wisdom, linking the world to the primeval world by Antoine Court Gabelin. Then we got meeting the first known tarot reader, thriving among the magicians, rebirthing tarot for the modern age. Then we get into the RWS and about the history of that and an illustration. And then we get into the Book of Thoth, expanding the scope of tarot. We've got Eden Gray, Mary Greer, and Rachel Pollack. So it is an awesome, awesome read. That chapter I highly recommend. Touring the Tarot, understanding tarot's structure. So it talks about like the major arcana. And then afterwards, the minor arcana, the four suits. Breaks it down into easier understanding. How to gender the court cards. Tips, things to remember. Warnings. Some older traditions about choosing a particular card based on the person's age, hair, and eye color feel outdated. 3/4 of the court cards would refer only to Caucasian people, exactly. As modern decks include depictions of more diverse characters, it's less important that your significator looks like you. I completely agree. I don't need to feel... It's about archetypes for me. It's not about what people look like. Now, not to say that you can't use it like that, but that's just, I don't necessarily. Recognizing the 3 big schools of tarot. So we've got, let's read that really quick. Alas, a tarot school has nothing to do with a magical castle like Hogwarts, where wizened readers teach you everything that you need to know. Tarot schools represent different schools of thought in our approach to tarot. So as readers throughout the ages have considered how to use this playing card deck for divination, they've shaped their decks to match their philosophies. Understanding the differences in those philosophies is a good idea for new readers as they form their own approaches to tarot. You'll You're never locked into using only one school of tarot and its associated decks. You can learn all of them. I have. The switch back and forth depending on the kind of reading that you want to do or even just the mood that you're in. So that's like Tarot de Marseille, Rider-Waite, and Thoth, right? And there's more about those. And then the fourth school is no school at all. The 3 schools of tarot in the preceding sections cover a lot of ground. But of course, artists and writers have forged new paths and created decks based on their own ideas. Most of the principles and techniques in this book will serve you well as you read with these decks. But I encourage you to remember to refer to their accompanying guidebooks to understand the specifics that make those decks unique. I completely agree. Listen, especially where tarot is concerned, you don't have to read the guidebooks, but sometimes, depending on the deck, the guidebook can just unlock so much understanding, right? So becoming a reader. This chapter talks about thinking through the beliefs, about divination, setting goals for your practice, marinating on difficult considerations for diviners, and finding ways to practice your craft. So becoming a reader. Knowing yourself is the key to success, predicting the future or not to predict, understanding the source of information, voicing divine wisdom, direct response, inner sight, and synchronicity, clearing the air about psychic. Okay, let's read this really quick. The word psychic can be very uncomfortable for people, partially because they connect it with scam artists pretending to be diviners, and partially because the only type of psychic gift that many people are familiar with is clairvoyance, which means clear seeing. Exactly. Think of the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, looking into her crystal ball and seeing full scenes play out before her eyes. But several other clairs exist. The one tarot readers most experience is claircognizance, or clear knowing. Exactly. This state is having a solid hunch about what's happening or will happen. You may know it more simply as intuition. So making room for skeptics, it talks about that. Playing nice, identifying your divinatory goals, dabbling with divination, leaning into intuition, adding tarot to your creativity toolbox, mastering cartomancy, and going pro. He really touches on so many topics. Tackling troublesome topics, dealing with ethical dilemmas, minding your business / performing third-party readings. Yeah, let's read this part. Tackling troublesome topics. Learning to read the cards can be both fun and inspiring. And when you're new, most of the focus is on the how, to elements, techniques, spreads, meanings, and so on. After you're in the thick of things, a few tricky areas can trip you up. I explore some of them in the following sections because, as any diviner can tell you, forewarned is forearmed. I love it. Dealing with ethical dilemmas. For better or for worse, no governing body hands out decrees for card readings, do and don'ts. That's mostly for the better, but it means each reader must form their own code of ethics. Having one in place makes things much easier in the moment when you are confronted with various issues. So you'll certainly encounter other issues, but the following are some of the most common situations readers find themselves faced with. Thinking through these sticky questions in advance can help you make good choices in the heat of the moment. So minding your business, performing third-party readings. Is performing a card reading about another person the same thing as spying on them or reading their journal without permission? Other people's feelings and decisions often have a significant impact on your life, and at some point you're going to want to peek into someone else's psyche. Do you feel that any information that you can obtain from a reading is fair game? ? On a related note, if you read for others, they may ask you to tell them what's going on with the people in their lives. Very often, this desire comes from a place of legitimate concern about the health and well-being of their loved ones. Do you only read about the current situation, or are you willing to investigate the affairs of others on their behalf? Becoming too reliant on readings. Good. Exploring uncomfortable questions. Reading for children. these are all questions for you to ask yourself, right? On ethically what you will and will not do, what you feel comfortable doing. He approaches all these. Charging for a reading, addressing mental health issues, acknowledging biases and prejudices, detecting bias. We've got more of this to remember, a tip, and it's in the cards. Okay, uncovering prejudice about quorums, diffusing difficult readings, heeding the warning, curing toxic positivity, finding the silver lining, practicing is the other key to success. Yep, reading as often as you can, and he gives ideas for that. Recording your readings. Here's a very fun way to find topics to practice with. So go to the grocery store and pick up a trashy tabloid magazine filled with celebrity gossip. If those rags repel you, then you can get a serious news magazine instead. For each article, imagine that you've been hired by the subject to perform a reading about the new movie, romance, or breakup. Perform the reading as if the subject was sitting in front of you. Yes, recording your readings. So it tells you, to put the date, your question. This is like really learning, right? This is about, it is about learning made easy. So these are all suggestions. This process helps you in a few ways. It forces you to give yourself a complete reading. It allows you to return to your reading for future insights. And it both makes you feel very psychic when you get it right and allows you to learn from your errors when you get it wrong. So learning from your mistakes. Divinatory ambiguity. Trying new techniques. So make up a fictional fortune teller and read the cards in their voice. Give a friend a reading in which you respond to their question with questions of your own. Hold a card to your heart without looking at it and try to listen for it to share its message with you psychically. And try all the spreads in chapter 7 of this book, and then make up a few of your own. Draw a card and then try to emulate. Tons of really great advice. Blend oracle and tarot cards together in a reading. If you don't believe in predictive reading, give it a whirl and see how you do. For a card that's getting you stuck, see what it looks like in a variety of other decks. Read for your pets and other animals. All great ideas. So mastering card reading basics. So shaping your practice, caring for your deck, discarding unhelpful superstitions. These are just some superstitions that he talks about. Considering practical issues for your deck's well-being, how to house your deck, how to clean your deck, trimming your cards, creating a liminal experience, experimenting with aesthetics, engaging the senses and sound. He touches on everything. The scent, accessorizing the oracle, a light scarf and deck pouch, spread cloth, crystals. These are all like accessories that you can do in creating, rituals with all of it, right? So the breath, the actions of the words, closing, divining for others. Right. Beginning from a place of humility. I want to read this too. Many practitioners read only for themselves, but many brave souls offer their services to family, friends, paying clients, and even thousands of followers on social media. You want to keep a few things in mind if you decide to pursue this path. Caring for the quorums. The most important reason to read for others is to be of service to them and answer their questions to the best of your ability. Getting paid is fine, but the well-being of the person on the other side of the table, phone, or computer should be your priority. I could not agree more. If you're not in it in order to help somebody else, I would be very, very careful. That's just my personal opinion. I love where I really like the advice that he has given in this book. It is practical, and obviously it's from somebody that has been doing this for, like he said, 3 decades, right? Striving for authenticity and finding space, making time. beginning from a place of humility. The biggest saboteur for a reader is an overdeveloped ego. You lay the cards out, you feel like your intuition kicks into high gear, and suddenly you're an all-knowing, all-seeing sage who perceives exactly how to solve every one of their problems. Remember that you are a fallible human being, and that reading cards is an art, not a science. You'll make errors if you aren't careful. So when you're starting out, being clear about where you're at on your journey is a good idea. It's fine to look up the meanings of the cards when you're new. Yes. God, that is so important. Sharing the card's message, not yours. Leaving the current better than you found them. Yep. Releasing them back into the wild. Recognizing challenging current styles. Silent Stone, the Mythbuster, the better reader. Yep. Yep. The Chatterbox, the Confirmer, the Eternal Victim. Yes, all things he really just touches on. I really like his writing style and his perspective. I appreciate his perspective. Nailing the mechanics of a reading, what to ask about, how to lay out the cards, and how to turn them over for maximum effect are all things to think about before you spread the cards for yourself or a querent. So this chapter covers these issues to prepare you for a tarot reading. So forming useful questions, categorizing readings, predictive questions, guidance questions, wisdom questions. So blending styles, having no questions, being careful what you ask, mapping a spread, selecting a spread, sticking with single cards, upgrading to a larger spread. You can see there's just so much in here. Ways of shuffling, waterfall, wash, riffle, drawing and laying out the cards. He goes into such detail. This really is exactly what it says. I mean, not really for dummies, but somebody that is completely new to tarot and has absolutely no idea where to begin, like what to do, like guidance with everything, going professional. All the meanings are in here, spread ideas, everything. Things that you can come up with, stories that he's gone through. Selecting a tarot spread, understanding the benefit of using spreads, fiddling with fun size spreads, more. 3-card spread, wielding the workhorse spread, the crossroads spread. You see he's got a lot of stuff in here. The relationship spread, seeking wisdom, the hero's journey spread, horseshoe spread, the year ahead spread, the 7 chakras spread, Celtic cross, the wisdom of the elements, designing your own spreads. He helps you, gives you like, so let's put it here. I'll read it. Designing your own spreads. Just like with the fun size spreads earlier in the chapter, you can create your own workhorse spreads. These take a little more forethought, so here are a few tips to help you. Think about an area, idea, or challenge that you want to explore. Consider all the critical information that you need to know and assign positions to those items. So, play around with design until you find something that flows when you look from card to card. So, strengths, internal advantages you have over others, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, right? Just ideas for that. Making connections, working with the equation of meaning. So one of the first questions a beginner reader generally asks is how long learning the cards' meanings takes. The accurate but unhelpful answer is that you never stop learning the cards' meanings. That's because the tarot is a living, breathing entity that speaks to you differently with every reading that you perform. In this chapter, I show you how to dialogue with your deck to find relevant, valuable answers in any given reading. Oh, so good. So good. Narrowing down possibilities, asking for advice versus prediction, the card's position, taking direction, making sense of contradictions, getting topsy-turvy with reversals, and just more. Picking a perspective, counting the reversals, official meaning, zoning in on the deck that you're using, contemplating the traditional meaning, puzzling over esoteric symbols, I'm not going to go super deep into all these things because that's what you actually getting the book is all about. But I wanted to show the spectrum of all of the things that he has talked about in here. Like your intuition, connecting the dots, reading between the images, making the call, making peace with uncertainty, deciphering the pips, pairing numbers with suit, slower, faster, less, and more. The suits, the Marseilles suits, pure intuition. Doing tarot readings step by step. So reading in a nutshell. So in this chapter, you can try your hand at performing a reading from start to finish. Here I include 3 sample readings, predictive and non-predictive, plus a hybrid version that includes reversals. Seeing these 3 attempts at tarot reading prepares you to begin doing your own if you haven't already. I focus on tarot cards in this chapter and oracle cards in chapter 12. So it's just a whole lot of that. The sample readings. So it's just context, deep context and understanding. And then the hybrid approach. So highly detailed. It's just fabulous. A treasure of tarot card meanings, or a treasury, I should say. So this is where you get all of the tarot card readings, or I mean meanings, right? All that. It goes through the entire major and minor arcana. And then we get to chapter 11, approaching oracle systems. So he touches on oracle, meeting the mysterious oracle cards, defining and divining, understanding the anatomy of an oracle deck, appreciating the approachability. A lot of people feel more comfortable starting with oracle than they do tarot because they feel more, well, you know what? I'm going to let you read this. But he talks about the differences between them and approaches all these different topics about that. How to select the oracle decks, marveling at their strengths because they're all usually themed, right? Noting a few historical oracles, considering your options, choosing your decks, the different kinds, animals, spiritual and mythological beings, religious and spiritual traditions, nature-based, fiction and entertainment, creating an oracle card library, which, I mean, clearly I have probably just as much oracle, if not a little bit more than I do tarot. Because I love oracle too. And my first deck was oracle, not tarot. But they followed right closely behind. But so getting comfortable working with oracle cards, diving deep with your deck, exploring your deck's point of view. We've got this. Getting your reps in, becoming a page of all trades, master of all. Rotating the roster, putting decks in conversion. Oh, in conversation with each other, yes. Divining with the oracle cards. And this is where he also, I think this is where he does the spreads. Oh, yeah, he gets really, really detailed about how to read with oracle as well. And even about creating your own oracle cards. Thinking about your theme, assembling the images, printing professionally, because he is also a creator. How many? About the author. Well, I'll get to that. Don't let me forget, okay? Remind me not to forget. Assigning meanings, taking the deck for a spin. Okay, this is the oracle spreads. Drawing cards at dawn, supporting other spiritual habits, making today special, embodying the archetype, identifying with an oracle, crafting effective affirmations, exploring new layouts, the body, mind, and spirit spread. And then we get into the different kinds of spreads for oracle cards. Obviously, you can use tarot or oracle spreads interchangeably, but some are more better equipped to be for Oracle and some are more better equipped to be for Tarot, and he talks about that. The part of tens. More than 10 behaviors that limit new readers. Expecting clairvoyance, heeding unhelpful taboos, giving your deck human feelings, disqualifying the reading, overreading a card, not engaging with the quorant. And he goes into detail about all these things and his opinions on these. Engaging with unkind skeptics, reading without a spread. Single card pulls are great, but when you have a line of cards in front of you with no rhyme or reason, you're working too hard. Spreads provide you with structure and give you the language to formulate an answer to your question. I cover working with spreads in chapter 7. I could not agree more. Of course, you know that I am like a spreads queen, okay? That sounds really not good, but I love working with spreads. Even when I do my pick a card, which I've got to do again for my other channel, I use spreads even for those to keep me on track, because if you are just laying cards out, it is much, much harder to be truly objective when you don't know what each card indicates, right? Yeah, you can tell stories. I tell stories with stuff, but it's much more objective. You can be much more objective if you know what the card is truly answering instead of just laying them out willy-nilly. My opinion, of course. Turning to others for answers too quickly, buying too many decks right away, growing too fast, going it alone. 10 lessons I learned at the table. If you read it, they will come. They'll ask you anything. Stay nimble. You can't control what people hear. All your knowledge comes into play. Some people have tarot trauma. They'll show you things that you've never seen before. Sometimes they just want to talk to someone. Yep, your readings have value, and it's very rewarding. The index in the back. He touches on so many things, but I want to read about the author, okay? So it says, Charles Harrington has been reading, teaching, and loving tarot for more than 25 years. He's the author of a number of deck guidebooks, including the Tarot of the Vampires, the Dante's Infernal Oracle, the Murder of Crows Tarot, the Ferenc Pinter Tarot, the Odyssey Oracle, Tarot V, and the Incubus Tarot, all published by Llewellyn Publications and others. An active member of the cartomancy community, he has given keynotes and workshops at conferences, hosted podcasts, and led meetups in the San Francisco Bay Area. In his free time, he loves to find new and strange ways to use the cards in pursuit of wisdom, fun, and the occasional free cocktail. Gosh, I love that. So that was it, guys. Sorry. I thought that this book was really good. It did take me a while to get through it because I read some of them several times because, as I said, I get interrupted and then I forget what I just read because I get interrupted in the middle of it and then I have to go back and read it again. So rule of thumb is usually I read something 3 times, right? So don't, unless you want it to take a while, don't ask me for book reviews because that takes me a while because I want to make sure that I have read through everything first, and sometimes that's just not as easy for me because of the interruptions and the amount of time that I have where my attention is pulled away. I think that this is a great book for somebody that is, I would say, not just a beginner, mainly a beginner, yes, but somebody who's really struggling to learn new things with their tarot or explore new areas or really hone in. I mean, you could have been somebody that's been reading the tarot for, let's say, 5 years maybe, and you've always read for yourself. But if you're even considering going out and starting to read for other people or professionally, even for family and friends, but if you are wanting to get paid, be a professional reader, or I would highly recommend this book because it pretty much covers everything. His experiences for the last 25 to 30 years as being a tarot reader, deck creator of tarot and oracle, other, I think he said other books, but this was really, really good. So I will put a link down below where you can get this. And I enjoyed it. It took me a while to get through it, but I thought it was really good. And I really like his mindset. There are some people that you just don't agree with, right? But and some that you really just think that their perspective is very, I don't want to say it like that either. I think everyone's perspective is valuable, but some that you just resonate with more than others. And I feel like I resonate very strongly with the way that he sees things, you know, and his experiences, what he's learned. I think that that's valuable insight for anybody that's getting started or trying to take their tarot practice to the next level kind of thing. So if you've read this, leave me a comment down below in the comments and let me know what your thoughts were, please. As well as if this is something that you're interested in. Are you a new tarot reader? Or are you ready to take your tarot to the next level, possibly reading for other people and wanting to know what kind of pitfalls there could be or questions that might be asked that maybe you're not prepared for? Well, I think he pretty much touches on a lot of that. So thank you for spending this time with me. I'll put a link down below where you can get this. And I am sending you love always.